From rags to riches, farm to fame, from digging ditches to the whole world knows your name. You'll stand in the spotlight till the light goes dim, and it's rags to riches, to rags again.
We bought this old farmhouse in 1999, before I met Joey. It was just the girls and I back then, and I was writing songs for a living, and the first song I ever got recorded was by Colin Ray, and it went to #1, and we made some royalties, so the girls and I came out and found this old farmhouse, and we bought it. When we first came out here, it was pretty run down. I didn't know any better. I really thought that I could fix it up. I'd never fixed up anything before, but I thought I could. One of the first things we did when we bought this old farmhouse is I took a hammer and I broke through the plaster that was right here, and I opened it up to try and find the fireplace that was in here. It was covered with boards, and then underneath of that were bricks, and then underneath that was the stone. And I pulled it out and I was so excited about it because it hadn't been opened up since about the 1940s.
What's amazing is I can't believe somebody would cover something that beautiful up. I mean, it was just so nostalgic, and I mean, it really is kind of the centerpiece of the whole farmhouse when you walk inside and in the kitchen.
The people who built this farmhouse are named Calvin and Sarah Hardison, and they built it in the 1870s, and they're buried in the cemetery behind the farm out in the field. And that's where you see us in a little cemetery on our When I'm Gone video. And you can see it from right here at the window in the kitchen, and it's where we want to be buried someday. One of my favorite things is that in researching the history, Calvin and Sarah's old maid daughters are named Molly and Viva Hardison. And they were school teachers in the area, and there was a little school on the other side of the river called the Hardison Institute, and they taught there, and a number of people that are still around, their parents went to school there. Anyway, in researching them, I just knew that. I knew they were teachers. I didn't really know anything else about them. And I was reading about the music history of this area, and it tells some stories about how certain people were really well known for a gospel group that happened in the 1940s, or different things that happened. But there's one paragraph that really caught my attention. It says, the Mrs. Molly and Viva Hardison of Hardison Mill wrote songs and had at least 4 songs published by S. Brainerd Sons and Company in Chicago. That is amazing that 100 years before we bought this farmhouse, there were 2 little ladies writing songs in our house. It'll be interesting to see what happens 100 years from now.
Yeah.
See if somebody's looking back at this farmhouse and going, some crazy people lived here who were filming a television show.
And they're buried out there in the cemetery. They're going to be haunting us.
These floors are made of poplar, cut right here on this land. They're tongue and grooved together, every single board by hand. They're nicked and scarred and splintered, in need of some repair. But you know every cut is perfect, and every nail is square. They don't make them like that anymore. You can't buy that craftsmanship in some old store. For 100 years they've been walked on, they'll be here after I'm gone. They still make them, but not like that anymore. And that car out in the driveway, well, it's made of Detroit steel. And it was stamped out in a factory, every nut and bolt and wheel. It's seen a lot of miles of highway since it was new in '63. But it still cranks every time I get in and turn the key. And they don't make them like that anymore. Today they're built in factories on foreign shores. You know, with pride they used to say, made here in the USA. They still make them, but not like that anymore. That picture on the mantle, well, that's my grandma and grandpa. They were the sweetest, kindest, hardest working folks you ever saw. Through the good times and the bad, the pain and the happy tears, they never spent a single night apart in 57 years. They don't make them like that anymore. When they got married back in 1944, they vowed to stand side by side, and Lord, they did till the day they died. They still make them, but not like that anymore. Yeah, they still make them, but not like that anymore.
We sure do have a beautiful life here, don't we, babe?
Yes, we do. God's been awful good to us.
Planting the garden and watching it grow, and keeping it country on the radio. That's important to me.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's important to me.
Don't forget about what's most important to you.
I'm Joey.
And I'm Rory. Tune in again next week. Same place, same time.